these key issues in the last 2 years?
There's nothing that is stopping government. And that's why we have seen different sectors of the economy performing well. The indicators are there. Look at the performance of Nairobi Stock Exchange. Nairobi Stock Exchange is the barometer of how the economy is performing, or the health of the economy. At the moment, almost all the share of different companies are in upward trajectory. If you talk about Kenya Power and Lighting Company, it is historical. Kenya Power has been making losses for many years. Out of the President William Ruto's policies, Kenya Power has made that a billion Kenya shilling after tax. That is huge transformation. Kengen is making 6.7 billion after tax. And many other companies are performing very well. Let's not even talk about the Kenyan companies. Let's talk about the prices of commodities. We have seen fuel prices coming down monthly after other month. We have seen prices are coming down every month or after every 3 months. We have seen the prices of different commodities, of unga, coming down. We have seen the prices of gas, cooking gas, coming down, of edible oils coming down. That is a fact. These things are not happening just because some work is not being done. Serious work is being done. Okay. Who is doing this work? Is the President of the nation and his administration. He's the one who is guiding this ship. He's the one who is ensuring the policies which is coming up with are properly implemented. Assuming he has a proper political, environmental situation where he can concentrate, where everybody can rally behind a certain cause without too much fighting. We'll see this economy transforming with a higher speed. Okay. But we have seen fighting, generated by his deputy and other elements outside the government, just to push the president for some political, I don't know, I may call them political give-in. Because there were people who wanted money, saying, if we are not given this amount of money, we are going to bring this government down.
Who are these people?
Who? I don't want to call names, but that was there. Okay. That was there. So the thing is, President has been implementing his policies amidst all noise. And that's why the prices of commodities for sure are coming down. That's why the Nairobi Stock Exchange is performing very well. That's why we are seeing companies which have been making losses, like Kenya Power, like Kenya Airways. Kenya Airways reported huge amount of profit the other day. These are companies which have made losses for over 10 years. Okay. In the previous administration. Give it to William Ruto. He is committed in transforming this nation.
Okay, fair enough. I'll come back to that because I have concerns.
Through making very difficult decisions.
I have concerns, especially in matters electricity and Kenya Power, but I'll come back to that. Coming to Dr. Hassan, before I engage Wakili here, there are concerns that, first of all, the concern a couple of weeks ago was that the president has captured the legislature. The concerns that most Kenyans are airing right now, and I'll even look at just some of the tweets from even senior lawyers in this country, is that the judiciary as well could be captured. Do you believe in those sentiments, in those concerns?
I think for members of parliament, I could believe in it because we have several issues that emerged. Members of parliament advocating for the executive. Judiciary, there are no clear indications showing that indeed they have been captured, simply because we see their rulings are purely based on facts that is before them. And if we could judge them based on the political process that impeached the former deputy president, I think it is very clear that a political process cannot be administered in the judicial system. And I think our advocate will tell us that the political process is not subjected to proof of anything. So long as the political process has taken place, then their decision remains as it is. And that is why the legal team of the former deputy president are still struggling in the corridors of justice. And yet, the judiciary cannot give them a leeway in terms of securing what they want. Secondly, they are, first and foremost, I think the three arms of the government needs to work together in a very well-coordinated manner, simply because it is not proof of power. I mean, the executive plays a great role, the judiciary plays their role in terms of interpreting the constitution as well as ensuring that people do not, you know, misuse the, or rather violate the constitution. And the executive is there to implement. Parliamentarian, sorry, is there to legislate, represent, and oversight. The biggest challenge we have, and Mheshimiwa will always tell you, is with the members of parliament failing to do their oversight role on the executive responsibility. If they strengthen the oversight role and ensure that all the policies that the executive are tabling, and they oversight very well in terms of looking at how it impacts a common Wanjiku, or seeing how best it can be enhanced in terms of having a win-win for both the executive and the citizen of this nation, then we will have been very happy about it. They concentrate much on political games, and sometimes when you see last time they couldn't sense very well when the 2024 finance bill was being tabled. Parliamentarians, Mheshimiwa, I told him, Mheshimiwa, this looks like it's not a very good thing. Can we? But you see, when people tell you this is what the government want, because as a member of parliament, you are not supposed to be echoing the executive's policy, even if you belong to the party of that particular government. If you are elected using the vehicle of that particular government and you get into parliament, your role is to make sure that you represent, legislate, and do your oversight role. The moment you advocate for the policies of the executive in parliament, then that means then your roles, which is the mandatory role that you are supposed to play in that aspect of being elected as a member of parliament, will going to be compromised.
Now, let me ask you before I engage Wakili here. Members of parliament and even senators, probably in their defense, say their tone, because on one hand, they have to represent the interests of their people. On the other hand, they were also sponsored to the National Assembly through being elected by the people, but by a political party, especially those from the majority side. Now, where do they draw the line in terms of ensuring the interests of the people they represent are well represented, and ensuring that the government that sponsored them, or the party that sponsored them to the National Assembly, also probably has the funds to implement their agenda, the agenda that they promised the people? I think how do they balance? I think we shouldn't look at it from that perspective. You know, when the government is tabling policies and bringing it to parliament, those policies are meant for people they represent. And therefore, they look at the policy from positive side of it and objectively look at it where they think it is not helpful to the people who took them to that particular office. They objectively say, this one will want it to go like this. And that is why when the executive actually brings a certain bill to parliament, what happens? We return it back to the public, where we do public participation. And when they get the feedback of the public participation, then that is why the time that they need to now look at it, saying that in terms of the public interest, we are seeing this is how it's supposed to be. And they are the advisors of the executive in terms of what is good for the electorate, as well as what is good for the country. Okay. But I think the margin, the line where it is supposed to be drawn,
is that as a member of parliament, you have no business with a political party once you get into the August House. Okay. Because the political parties' issues will be done outside. So when they are politicking outside, they could advocate for that political party. But when they come into parliament, they need to look at things from the perspective of what their mandates are and what they are expected to deliver. Otherwise, we see quite often people pledging loyalties to the vehicle that has made them come into the August House. Okay. The provision of having an independent candidate, which most of the people think it's a good idea for Kenyans actually to have political, to disown political parties and get into independency, will give a freedom to members of parliament to advocate for the people who are the electorate. And once they get in there, they will not going to think of a political party.
Is constituted by a politician.
I mean,
that's the truth. It's a politician who constitutes the executive.
Before I engage you, let me just engage Mr. Osino. Before we cross over to KICC and speak to David Kagina. Wakili, what do you make of the concerns? First of all, do you think on the issue of, judiciary being captured, are these genuine concerns or are these attacks on the judiciary? Because I don't just to quote, for example, whatever lawyer Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi says, I respect the judges of the Court of Appeal. If they denied a stay on the proceedings on the of the High Court in Honorable Gachagwa's case, then they did so on the merits of the case. The Court of Appeal, unlike the Supreme Court of Kenya, isn't juris pesa.
Okay, of course, everyone is entitled to their opinion.
Are these genuine concerns or attacks of the judiciary?
That is lawyer Ahmed Nasir's opinion. Okay, of course, Kenyans are allowed to raise concerns, but nevertheless, every allegations must be supported with cogent evidence. What I can say so far, in my observation, going by the decisions we have seen in courts, most decisions have been well reasoned, and most decisions have found their basis in law, so that, in my opinion, the judges have tried as much as possible to do their work. But let me just comment on the issue of the role of parliament, legislature, and the judiciary. Kenya, we live in a society, in a system known as presidential system. In a presidential system, we have got something called separation of powers. Legislature, the executive, and judiciary. Judiciary is supposed to interpret the laws. Executive is supposed to implement the laws. Parliament is supposed to legislate and also to provide oversight and also to represent. Now, of course, the government would wish to push its policies through Parliament so that the MPs who are elected with the president's party are ordinarily required to support the president's agenda. But the only caveat is this: you cannot support the president's agenda blindly. You must interrogate the issues. You must ensure that the policies that are coming from the executive are those that are in the interest of the people. So in as much as, yes, you have a party that sponsors you in Parliament, and you're obliged to push the president's agenda, but you have to interrogate them as to whether or not they're constructive and they are useful to the citizens. Otherwise, you have to give priority to representation and for oversight. That Kenyans are the ones who elected you. You must ensure that whatever government policies are coming through are those that are in their interests.
Oh, yeah. Okay, fair enough. Honorable Ruku, I want to know how you guys balance between representing the people and also ensuring that the government that you guys are in, or the party that sponsored you, also gets the funds to implement their agenda. But before that, I just want us to cross over to the Kenyatta International Convention Center and listen in to David Kagina, who is on standby at that particular KICC, where the professor himself, Professor Kindiki, will be taking oath of office today to become Kenya's third deputy president in a span of 14 years under the promulgation, or rather after the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution. Kagina, if you can hear me, bring us up to speed with whatever is happening at the Kenyatta International Convention Center.
Well, indeed, Ian. Today, November 1st of 2024, remains to be a day that will be etched in Kenya's history as we usher in Kenya's third deputy president. Remember, this coming not in an electoral circumstance, but under the impeachment of the former deputy president, that is Rigathi Gachagua. We are currently at the KICC in Nairobi. It's a cold Friday morning, and currently what is happening is that people are currently checking into the venue, and security is not taking any chances for that matter. We have 2 security checkpoints where you have to be checked at the entrance point, and then what you can see right in front of you are 2 queues, one for the ladies and one for the gentlemen who've made their way here and are set queuing for the second security screening. At the main dais, right where you can see the red seats, what we have right there is the people have been cleared to the very edges of these main dais so that security can do their sweep. It appears that with the former minister or cabinet secretary in the Ministry of Interior, they're not taking any chances with security. And as you can see, Ngao officer, or rather the National Government Administration officers, are here in their numbers to show up for their former boss, who is now taking the seat as the deputy president. Also notably within the venue are heavy armored police vehicles that you will see them right at the entrances of the of the KICC, ensuring that they are manning and not taking any chances with security as well. We've had a number of Kenyans just get to arrive here from as early as 6:45, 6:30 a.m. Some of them already within the premises of KICC, hoping to rather get in and have an experience of what's happening today. Probably we can get to speak to some of those who've made their way here, get to hear their voices and probably what they anticipate today. Hamjambo, labda mkazungumza nasi mtueleze matumaini yako siku ya leo kuhusiana na kuapishwa kwa naibu rais Kithure Kindiki ni yapi?
Aya, kwa mimi sasa nimefurahi kuja kukaribisha naibu wa rais wa hii. Niko na furaha kwa saa hii kufika hapa kupata naibu rais mpya kwa siku ya leo.
Labda ukiangalia naibu rais wa mara hii ni si kawaida, ni jambo la tukio la mara ya kwanza kuwa tunaapisha rais wakati ambapo si naibu rais wakati ambapo si wakati wa uchaguzi. Labda kwako wewe unachukulia hili vipi?
Hii ni jambo geni kwetu, ndio maana tuko hapa tukuje tushuhudie naibu wetu wa rais wa siku ya leo.
Thank you very much, and probably if my camera person can just get us to cross over to this side and we can get to hear the voice of the men ambao wamejifikisha hapa. Karibu sana K24. Jitambulishe tu, tueleze labda matumaini yako siku ya leo na sababu yako kuu ya kujifikisha hapa siku ya leo.
Kwa majina naitwa Muriithi Bore. Maana ya kukuja ni kukuja kuhakikisha au baite wetu ameingia ndani, na ndio tumekuja tukiwa wengi basi kama 10 kufurahia hiyo maneno.
Umetaja swala hapo, labda nikuulize, awali ukiangalia katika ulingo wa kisiasa kulikuwa na swala la mlima umetingizwa baada ya kungatuliwa kwa naibu rais Rigathi Gachagua. Labda kuingia kwa Kindiki, msimamo wako unaona vipi?
Msimamo wa kuingia kwa Kindiki si mbaya, igarau wa kikundi kama walikuwa wametufanya daraja, lakini hakuna wasiwasi, acha tuangalie vile maneno itakuwa.
Haya, sawa sawa. Kuna mwingine ambaye labda tupate tu kusikia sauti yake, unatarajia nini siku ya leo?
Leo matarajio yangu kama mkaji wa Tharaka Nithi ni kuona mmoja wetu Kithure Kindiki atakuwa uongozini, na ombi langu ni aongoze nchi yetu kwa njia mwafaka na ifaayo.
Shukran sana kaka, labda tusikie kutoka kwako tukifunga matumaini yako leo.
Kwa majina naitwa Alfred Kimanthi kutoka Tharaka Nithi County. Matumaini yangu ni furaha kubwa sana kwa sababu mwenye sasa tunaenda kupokea akiwa deputy president ni mtu ambaye tumeona kazi yake akiwa CS wa Interior, na sasa tumefurahia tukiwa wa Kenya wote juu tumeona ya kwamba akiwa CS wa Interior ameshikanisha kila mahali, kumekuwa na hakuna maovu mingi hii Kenya yetu, na ndio tunataka sasa hakuna mambo ya kusema mlima. Sasa kila sisi wote ni wa Kenya.
Naam, bila shaka na matangazo haya Ian, as I can say, kuna wale ambao wanazidi kuyafuatilia kwa simu. Usiogope, tueleze tu matumaini yako ni yapi. Pia tukipata tu kumuonyesha mpiga picha wetu kwamba there are those who are continuing to follow our broadcast live from their phones, even as we continue with the broadcast, just to assure you as the viewers that we will continue broadcasting this live for you from wherever you are, ensuring that you do not miss out on anything that will be happening in this venue at the KICC today. And probably just to get you on this side, back to this side, to give you a picture of what is going to be happening. The numbers that we are currently witnessing here are expected to be occupying the main dais. However, the planners for the event have also set up an extra screen right here, right behind the dais, meaning that the number that overflows from the main dais will be allowed to stand or sit on this space within the space of the KICC for them to continue following the proceedings of a very historic day in Kenya's history. Remember, Kindiki is the third deputy president to be sworn in Kenya, and this remains to be a very significant and historic fact, and sure we will be reporting everything as it continues to unfold right here at the KICC. But for now, Ian, allow me to take it back to you in studio.
Before you go, Kagina, I just wanted to know from you, Interior PS Raymond Omolo said that they're expecting at least 10,000 Kenyans. From your own observation, do you think that particular place can hold that particular number of Kenyans? And secondly, have you seen any dignitaries yet, or any member of the committee that is overseeing this entire process, of course led by Secretary to the Cabinet, that is Mercy Wanjau?
Well, indeed, from the committee, we have had a number of them, but from a distance now, it's hard to identify them. But clearly, you can tell there are some of them who are already here from the very main dais, who are already cleared by the security agencies from their level of clearance, even as the rest are waiting for the rest of the numbers to be held within this field. You're saying that the number was expected to be 10,000. Indeed, looking at the space within the main dais, that will not hold 10,000 people. However, as I had earlier indicated, we have this space right behind the main dais, walking up to where I currently am standing, that is expected to be holding the extra numbers. And according to the queues that we are currently witnessing here, the number might even be surpassed as other than what had been recommended by the president. Remember, by the committee and even by the PS Raymond Omolo. Remember, as for those we've gotten to speak to, those you've actually had introduce themselves and say where they've come from. We have a big number from who've traveled all the way from the Tharaka County just to ensure that they come and see one who they say is their own get sworn into the country's, one of the country's top seats. And so the numbers will indeed meet the 10,000. Of course, they will not feast on the main dais, and we have enough space right behind here to accommodate a few more, and probably with security agencies might just have to figure a way out with the numbers should they exceed what was expected here, Keitani.
Thank you very much, David Kagina, for bringing us up to speed with whatever is happening at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. And like you saw that gentleman watching K24 live on YouTube, we'll continue to keep you updated in regards to whatever is happening all the way through the swearing-in ceremony to whatever will be happening thereafter at State House, as Interior PS Raymond Omolo said that the president will host a state banquet for the new deputy president, who is still up to now designate, but after a few hours you will be the third deputy president under the new constitution. Now on that note, we just take a brief breath. We'll be back to continue this conversation. Don't go away.
Catch every thrilling moment of the English Premier League. The German FA Cup.
Harry Kane! Harry Kane scores! How many times have you heard that?
La Liga.